morning. This is Rabbi Shlomo Furst here. You see the Shamanavshi. This is our second shir. We're learning Mishna Berura. You see the Shamanavshi is located in Yerushalayim here, Kodesh, not too far from the central bus station on Rehov Zikr Yaakov number 6, in the Chanukah Yeshiva's base Knesset building. And therefore, if you want to walk from the bus station, drive, or bus, you're easily able to. And if you're coming to Mitzvah, it's a little bit more difficult by flying in. But please, if you're visiting Eretz Israel, please join us for a shir. We'd love to have you. Today, we're talking about the main thing we're trying to explore right now is a person speaking in his Shmona Esrei and correspondingly Shema. The big question I'm concerned with is when a person speaks out B'mezid. What's going to be the halacha? So let's take a quick look back at Samech Hey.
B'mezid?
B'mezid. He did it intentionally. You're not supposed to make any interruptions in either Kriya Shema, any brachas, Sukkah de Zimra, Halel, Birkas Hamazon, Shmona Esrei. Person's busy praying to a Kadosh Baruch Hu. He's not supposed to make any interruptions. So now just take a look at the Mishna Berura at the very beginning of Samech Hey. We did this actually over 2 weeks ago, approximately. But since it's coming up again, I want you to bear this in mind because it's going to be relevant to the discussions we'll be having next few days. Samech Hey, Sif Cotton Aleph in the Mishna Berura. Actually, maybe just simply read the Mishna Berura to eliminate the need to go over the Mechaber. Lauren, you like to read the Mishna Berura? Sif Cotton Aleph,
Baby Dibur, whether you're speaking. Afilu im sach b'mezid, even if the person waits intentionally.
No, sach spoke. From Sikha, he spoke.
Right? Even if he spoke intentionally, ach da'aseh isar b'zeh, even though.
The Mishna Berura. I'm sorry.
Okay. Even if he is doing an isser by this, afal pichein, even in spite of this, ein tzarich l'hozer rak l'makom shepasak. He only has to go back to the place where he interrupted. But feel b'shapasak be'emsa bracha, even if he breaks in the middle of the bracha, this is bracha is a kriya shema.
Okay, so you see, he says before, even if a person spoke out b'mezi, meaning, let's take a situation, he's davening Shmona Esrei, gets a call on his telephone, ling-a-ling-a-ling, or whatever you have, whatever tune you have there, right? And he opens it up and he starts talking. Right? He's in the middle of Shema Koleinu. And there we are, he's talking with his lawyer, his accountant, his children, his milkman, whatever. And there he is, in the middle of Shmona Esrei. He's doing amazing. No one's forcing him to answer the phone. As a matter of fact, he should have turned it off before he came to davening. He should have turned it off before he started Shmona Esrei. And if it rang, he should have just turned off the ringer and ignored it, but he didn't. And he felt it was more important to answer the phone than to speak to Kadosh Baruch Hu. I mean, after all, where's he going to get his parnasa from? Someone on the phone might have a good deal for him. Right? So, he spoke b'mezid. Intentionally, he spoke b'mezid. Nothing was forced. There was no oinus. He wasn't forced to answer the phone. He wasn't forced to speak. And even if a person says things, sounds like nu, or yeah, even though those aren't actually words, that's also considered sach. It's considered dibur, according to poskim. I don't know, all the poskim would say that, but some poskim I've been taught actually say that as well. So a person shouldn't do those things as well. Same thing when you're trying to soothe the child, shouldn't say shush, or nu, or these kind of things. You should fucking stroke his cheek or at his head or something like that. Take out a candy and give it to him. That's not speaking, but speaking is much more serious than just doing motions. Now, so a Siba Mezid, you don't have to return to except to the Mokum Shapasuk, right? To only the place where even he spoke B'mezid. He said a few words of his bracha, or this Kriya Shema. So we have to realize Kriya Shema is a little bit different than Shmona Esrei. That's number one. We have to realize when you now transfer to Shmona Esrei, whether this is going to exist as well, the same thing. Yeah, Amar, you have a question?
Well, later on it says Birkas Hamazon, which is going to tell us. So it's the same thing for Shmona Esrei, I'm going to assume. So then what's the whole thing that we're arguing?
Well, maybe not, because it's Birkas Hamazon, even though it's Deraisa, and Shmona Esrei is the Rabbanan, but see, Shmona Esrei is more serious because you're Oimid Lifnei HaMelech. Meaning, it's sort of a question which we could eventually maybe discuss. When we're saying Birkas Hamazon, which is the Raisa, we have the opportunity to make this bracha even though we're sitting down. We're not obligated to stand up. We're not obligated to put our feet together and stand more or less at semi-attention. You're supposed to wear a hat. Mishna means you're supposed to wear a hat when you say Birkas Hamazon. And some put on a jacket as well, because it's supposed to be done with a certain decorum, right? Certain respect for the mitzvah that you're doing. But it's still less in terms of your seriousness of Shemona Esrei, right? So, Birkas Hamazon in certain respects might be less, just like Kriya Shema is deraisa, right? So, you might think it's more serious than Shemona Esrei. In some ways it is, in some way it's not. Right, so here we see that a person spoke Mamezes at least during Kriya Shema, and the other things, then simply pick up where you left off. Okay? That's the words of the Mishnah Berura over here. Now we'll go back to Kuf Dalet, where we've been yesterday. And let's see the Mechaber again in Sif Vav. Everyone have it there? Kuf Dalet, Sif Vav. Let's review the Mechaber. Go ahead. Yeah. Kuf Dalet.
Hodam Rinen im Shahar Kedelimares Kulo. That we have said that somebody waits long enough to have finished, long enough. The time period it takes to say all of Shemona Esrei, Mikore Misharinin. We estimate that time based on the person himself. Each person has a different time.
Good.
The im sach b'tefillah, if he talks during his davening during Shemona Esrei, dino le'inyan hazara kedin hafsakos ha'omros b'simen zeh. If he speaks during Shemona Esrei, the din is the rules for returning as the din of interruptions in this simon.
Right. So according to Mechaber, right, speaking in Tefillah has the same halachas that are relevant to any interruptions that would be mentioned previously. Meaning, let's say that he sees the cow coming down the road, or the wagon coming down at him, or he has a snake around his leg, all these other types of things, right? Speaking. Right, now we didn't mention about B'mezid or B'shoigig or B'oinis, so just in speaking, right, so let's take a look now, Mishnah Berura Sivkat and Kav Gimel.
B'shogeg?
B'shoigig is unintentional.
Accidentally.
Very good, accidentally.
Im sach, if he talks, Ruadin im hiskir orad shel shar yoim v'tefillah, and this is also the din if he remembers. If he mentions another event during his tefillah, we talked yesterday about Yal V'Yovo.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Kagon shel Shabbos Yom Tov v'chol v'chai gavnet, such as Shabbos or Yom Tov on a weekday, and similar cases. Gam ken dinu kilu sach. This has the same din of talking.
Right. And you might consider. Well, actually, we started looking over there. We may have time today to go back over there, but I want to finish these Mishnahs if we can. But because why should it be different as being sach? Meaning because you might think since what you are saying words of prayer, right? So maybe it's not considered like you're speaking. And sach is like conversation. You had a conversation in the middle of your Shemona Esrei. So if you're saying Yali Yavoy, that may not be considered conversation. It's really words of prayer. So maybe. Nevertheless, the Mishna says, no, has a din as if you spoke out. So if you said Yali Yavo on a day like today, right, or you thought it was second day Rosh Chodesh and only one day Rosh Chodesh, then has a din as if you spoke out in your Shemona Esrei. You had a conversation in your Shemona Esrei.
V'yavor l'kamen l'sof siman kovches. Mishna Berura, we will explain this further at the end of siman kovches. And the Mishna Berura, Ayin Sham, see there.
Right, and that's where we started. We did that a little bit yesterday. We can hold off going back to that right now. I want to go to the next Mishnah Berura, Chav Dalet.
Okay, B'tefillah, while he's saying Shemona Esrei, im sach b'kriyas shema u'v'rosecha. If you talk during Kriya Shema and its brachas, Ayin Le'el B'Simen Samachay. You go look back to Simen Samachay, Sif Aleph, Mishbur. Go see Sif Aleph, Mishbur about what the rules are.
Right, which we just did 5 minutes ago. Right, that's where we were just 5 minutes ago. And now so that will depend. Again, the Mishna said there that you only go back to where you left off. Now, apparently, that's only if it was less than Kedei Ligmuras Kuloi. If it was Kedei Ligmuras Kuloi, you would probably have to go back either to that a bracha. It was he spoke out, and then if it was for all of Shemona Esrei, you'd have to go from the very beginning. But I'm a little bit masupik about that, right? And I'm not sure about, and that was even in the case of B'mezid, even B'mezid. So again, we're still trying to find out what the halach is by B'mezid. Now, Kedin Hafsak is Hafei.
Kedin Hafsak is the din of interruptions. What Shlomo wants to say, the im sach be'emsa birchas siach sicha mu'etes, that if he talks in the middle of a bracha a small amount.
Yeah, a minor sikha,
okay.
Muetis is a small amount,
right? Okay.
Of conversation. Only a few words.
Ve'im ve'afilu im lo sacha al yedei zeh kedei lomer oso bracha.
Ligmor oso bracha.
Ligmor oso bracha. Hoser l'rosh bracha. So even if he does not talk long enough to have completed the bracha,
right,
he goes back to the beginning of the bracha.
Right, so this seems to be a bit of a change now. Kedin Hafsak, as we were saying, that if a person sak be'emsa bracha, sikum wetis, if a person spoke in the middle of a bracha, even a few minor words, afilu loch shah, even if he didn't delay ayidei zeh speaking, kedei ligmor osa bracha, he didn't delay enough time to finish that particular bracha that he was in the middle of saying, right? Choser l'rosh bracha. He goes back to the beginning of that bracha.
Because he ruined the bracha, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, we mentioned about that. That we saw, if I'm not mistaken, in Kuf Chet. We'll hopefully get back to that, right? All these halachas are very, very interrelated. Yeah, we have to bear in mind that we'll be going back and forth to get a whole picture of what the halacha is over here. Okay.
V'im shehaya ayidei hasicha kedei ligmor kol tefillah mirosh l'sofo. If he waits long enough during the speaking, or long enough to have completed all of Shemona Esrei from the beginning to the end, choser l'rosh tefillah goes back to the beginning of Shemona Esrei.
So now, these are when he's now again, these hafsakas that we were learning about were cases of an oinus, right? And if you remember what the Mishna taught us about oinus, that according to the Magen Avraham, that's only an oinus machos gufo or makaimah, right? Which in the Mechaber Shita might be different. So again, Mezid, if he speaks out, not because it's an oinus, right? So we have to still try and understand what's going to be with Mezid. But we say here, if he made a delay through speaking, whether it was the amount to finish of one bracha that he was, even if it was less to finish the bracha, he has to reset the bracha, because as Rachmin remembered very well, that it's a kilkul, it's a ruination of the bracha he was in. And so, also for the same thing, for he stops enough time to finish the whole of Shemona Esrei. He goes back to the very beginning. Okay.
Ulfi Masheb Arno Le'el, the Sif Cotton Tes Zion.
Yes.
And based on what we will explain.
What we had explained above. Mash Baranu was
Sif Cotton Tes Zion, which is.
That was previous, so that should be.
That's not part of this Sif.
It's the Mishna Berura stuff.
That's the Mishna. No, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sif Cotton, right? Sif Cotton design,
right. Sorry.
No problem. Don't worry.
It's been about Sif Cotton Zion. Lo yedin ze rak shesia al yedei onus. This is only if the interruption is because of an onus.
See, that's the main point. There's an onus, and again, something was compelling him to stop. Something was forcing him involuntary to stop his davening. Right?
Kakon al yedei onus v'listim k'haygavna v'knal. Okay, so it's like the robbers are similar things. Alayim sach shelo be'onus. If he talks not due to an interruption, an accident, or
Involuntary.
involuntary operation. Im bishkaga,
Ki im b'shkaga, only because of. Ki im, only because of.
ki im bishkaga, only
Because of a mistake.
because of mistake, good.
Or accident.
Okay. Al yidei ezo taos, because of these errors.
If it ki im, except because of an accident through a mistake, right?
O she savar shehu mutter, or he thought that his speaking was mutter.
Right, a big chiddush. He thought that it was mutter to talk. I mean, something occurred, and he thought it was mutter to talk. Maybe it was an onus that he shouldn't have really spoken for, but he spoke, and he thought it was permissible, but it wasn't.
I feel it's shaha k'dei ligmor kulo, even if he waited long enough to finish the complete Shemona Esrei, en nechozer l'rosh, he does not go back to the beginning, ki im l'tchilas habracha, just to the beginning of the bracha.
Only to the beginning. He doesn't go to Chozer Rosh of Tefillah,
So just goes to the beginning
of
of the
that
bracha.
bracha that he interrupted him, because it was a kilkel, it ruined the bracha. So here, if it was because of an oinus, right, so let's just try and get it clear. If it was because of an oinus, so then he'll be depending. If it was im shayidei sika kedei ligmor's cooler, he has to go to the beginning of his whole davening if it was that long, for the whole davening, right? And that's only going to be if it was because of an oinus, right? For example, listing was such. But if he sach ba'oinus, shelo ba'oinus, it was a mistake, or he thought it was mutter, then even if he stopped in order to ligmor kuloi, even the whole of Shemona Esrei,
It only goes back.
only to the original bracha that he was in at that point. So what's the difference between oinus and shoigeg? So oinus, if he had to stop because of an oinus, right, he has to go back to the beginning of his Shemona Esrei, right? If it was because of his shoigeg, he only goes back to the beginning of the bracha he was in.
Can I just ask,
Sure.
Shemona Esrei, whoever's davening Shemona Esrei for the average knows not to talk during Shemona Esrei.
Right.
How could he come to the understanding that it was mutter to speak at any point in Shemona Esrei?
So let's go. It says here, right? It says right here. It says lo yisuk b'tfilos afilu melech Yisrael shol b'shloimon. So there's a melech, right? David melech comes up to you and says,
Okay.
Shalom Aleichem.
We're not going to find that, not in Eretz Yisrael, not
Okay,
in
I'm
America,
just
not in
using-
England,
just-
and not in most countries that
Right.
we know.
Right.
You ever see
So-
a kid that's 6 years old and his father making a lot of noise, none of the father is davening, he's trying to daven, and all of a sudden he just nishbado and he says to him, "Shut up already."
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
It happens.
Right.
This is with a child. We talk about a child.
No,
This
but
is saying that he made a mistake, that he thought he's allowed to talk.
no. So he thought he was allowed to talk to the child to quiet him down.
Because
But in
it's disturbing
fact,
everybody
in fact,
else.
that's
It's disturbing
I'll
everybody
use
else.
Yechiel's example.
Okay.
Yechiel's a better mind. He thought there was mutter to talk to the child to say to quiet him down, but in fact
Sorry,
it was
okay.
forbidden.
Okay.
Okay?
Not
Very
just,
good. Yeah.
it was like a method to the madness.
That's what Baruch says.
Well, we had a hefsid moment. You know, he said, you're not supposed to talk even for a hefsid moment. He thought it was mutter. He says, well, you could lose his job.
There's a lot of money in Wall Street, and
The lawyer, he was expecting a call from the lawyer. He knows it. He sees it's his lawyer's number, and he says, and
I understand.
Good.
Okay.
What was that word you had said? Hefsek what?
Hefsek,
Hefsek.
Loss of
Hefsid.
money. Loss
Hefsid.
Mammon is
Mammon.
money. Mammon is money. Hefsid is a loss.
Mammon.
Okay. Ve'im sach bein bracha lebracha. If he talks between brachas, af agav de asa iser bezeh, even though this is an iser, mikol makom lo shayat bezeh shum tikun l'kulei alma. There's no way to fix it. There's no.
because really, even though he shouldn't have done it, but he finished the bracha
He's
he
finished
was
the bracha.
in.
He's not saying anything anyhow.
Right, so you can't go back to do anything right now. Right.
Ela miyad acher ha'asicha gomer tefillah. As soon as he's done talking, he finishes davening.
Right.
Im sach b'mezid.
Here we are. Im sach b'mezid. He spoke out b'mezid.
If he talks intentionally, Sarik in Gadol, you have to look very carefully, B'din zeh, into this din. Yesh Omen the Choser Takef the Rosh Tefillah Afilu B'Sicha Mu'etes. There are those who say that he has to go back to the beginning of Shemona Esrei even for a short talking. The Yesh Omen the Lo Shana Bein Shogeg V'Meza. And there are others who say that there's no difference whether he talked accidentally or intentionally.
Okay. If just look at Chav Gimel, Chav Beis and Chav Gimel and Sharatzin at the bottom there.
What's he saying?
One second. Okay, Chav Beis and Chav Gimel.
Berura, he says to go to Berura.
Yeah, both of them, right?
Yeah.
Ayin Berura, Ayin Berura. So in order to explore that further, the Mishnah Berura is saying Tzorech Iyin. Okay, so I'm not sure if we're not going to do the Berura today. That's for sure. Okay, but that's the psak of the Mishnah Berura so far. In the Mishnah Berura, Tzorech Iyin as to whether a person spoke Mezid and he intentionally spoke out in the middle of his Shemona Esrei. He's not supposed to. He doesn't know. We don't know what to do at this point. What's going to be about that? Okay. Yes, sir. What's your question?
What are you saying the last point of Mishna was?
Don't talk out for Maisie, because if you do, you're in big trouble. Right. So good. So before we
When you talk, if you have to talk.
well, you're not really supposed to talk at all. The only thing that would allow you to talk is if let's say there was soya in your area and you want to try and get someone to clean it up.
Whatever the king talked in.
Oh, that's something which is
Not,
more
not
right.
from Israel, the king of the Goyim.
Goyim, right,
Shas
exactly.
Chak.
Shas
If somebody has a heart attack next to you.
So Hatzos L'Sof, that's
Kos nefesh.
that's something that we didn't even have a macabre about that. You don't get call it with Shabbos. You don't get call it.
In Hanof, they were in Shemona Esrei when they came to Mechavel. So some guy still in the beginning. And then, when the guy Mechavel came in a few years ago,
Right.
they were in Shemona Esrei before.
Look, that's the way to go. The guy's got to go. You
Let's go that way.
if you have a choice, if you have a way to go.
It's Kos nefesh, isn't it?
Sure, of course, sure. Of course.
And then you can make a break in the fila and say everybody run away or whatever.
Something ran away.
It happened many years, as I said, Yom Kippur, Shachris Yom Kippur, and one of the members of the shul collapsed right in the middle of davening.
These things happen.
So they had to, they called, the ambulance and everything. Shlissi, we just kept going. People, the medics went and called the ambulance.
Yeah, well, I mean, again, not everybody has to
Yes.
stop. I mean, I mean, it's a little bit.
But that's clearly the case where talking becomes necessary.
Yeah, of course. Even things less than even a person is could be let's say a person just is not feeling well, something like that. You ask him to do something again. Yeah, you have to judge these situations very carefully. Okay, we have a few minutes. Before we go to approach the Berura, perhaps, let's go to, as we were yesterday, Kuf Ches, and we'll see again what the Mishnah Berura was telling us about making mistakes. For example, adding Yal Yavoy, other things in the middle of this. Right. That was Sif. Sif Yud Base, the very last one, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, Sif and Yud Base. You all have it there, Kuf Ches?
Sky.
Yud Base. Matzah, you got the spot there?
I think so.
Would you like to read the Mechaber? Just one line or two, not as short. As Nakuda Toto, it makes it easier. The more practice, the better we get.
We're up top?
Yeah, up top of the good base.
Okay. Hatoeh umazkir ma'ora sha'ar yamin bisfila shalo bismana lo have hafsaka.
Very good. So Hatoya, a person who makes a mistake, right? Umazkir, he mentions Mo'ora, an event, Asher Yomim B'Tfila, an event of other days, Shelo Bizmana, not in their proper time. Lo Havi Hafsak, it's not considered a hafsek, it's not considered a interruption in the davening, even though he's speaking. Right? The Mechaber says he's mentioning something like Yali Yavo in a day a week, or you do Shabbos. Right? He's not mentioning, it's not considered a hafsek. Hagah, Mihu, just a few more words in the room.
Haga mihu im nizkar sheta'a posek afilu be'emza habracha.
However, if Nizkar Shito, if he remembers or realizes, Nizkar in this case is like realizes, if Nizkar Shito, if he realizes he's making a mistake, Poisek, he should stop the Emsa Bracha, in the middle of the Bracha. Then you stay in the middle of Yala Yavoy, you should stop in the middle of the Yala Yavoy and stop saying what he's saying and return to where he should be. Let's take a look in the Mishna Berura in Lamed Zayin. Rachman, you want to take over a bit?
Okay, Lamed Zayin.
You'll have it there in the Mishna Berura?
Shelo Bizmana. Can go on, for example. Shezkiah Yalei Vivo. He mentioned Yalei Vivo. Shelo B'Rosh Chodesh. And it wasn't Rosh Chodesh. It wasn't Chol Shemwei. It wasn't Chol Moed. Or Shusif. Or Shusif Shel Shabbat. Said for Shabbat, Yom Tov. B'chol Chagay Gavna. V'nishkal Lacha Shegamar Habracha or Kol HaTfilah. And he realized that after he finished the bracha, or after he finished the whole tefillah.
Right. So he realized his mistake after he finished the bracha or all of his davening. Right. So then it's not a hefsek. Right? It's considered b'diavad not a hefsek, and he can continue on with his daily routine. Okay, lamed bet.
Because is not considered an interruption. Sheyeh, there will be surich by this lachzor rosh, to return to the beginning. You won't have to do that. Or the tchilat habracha, or to the beginning of the bracha. Sheifsik ba. You won't even have to go back to the beginning of the bracha that he was making interruption. For Rov Achronim and most of the Achronim, cholkim upsag, they are not agreeing with this. Disagreeing with this. As the Sphirlo, and they hold the Lordif, it's not preferable, the maybe 6 Pesicha, Tefillah. It's not preferable then if he would have discontinued by talking in the middle of the Tefillah. In the middle of the Tefillah. The Fesak, Shulchan Aruch Le'al, B'Simon Kuf Dalet, Sibav Shetzrich Lachzor, the Tchilat HaBracha. I mean, he ruined the bracha, he would have to go back. K'shalosh Mishnotach, B'chol Chozer, Tchilat HaShalosh. V'ayin Le'el Sham, Sibav B'kol Pratei Dinei, Asficha, Gam B'derech HaChaim U'Chai Adam, Satmu, V'dina B'kemotam, like them.
So they not only Roiv Achroni, but also the Derech HaChaim and the Chayodim, which were major commentaries on the Shulchan Aruch, say 200-300 years ago. Sasmu Dine Kemosam. They also, in general, bring down the halacha as these other Achronim that are arguing on the Mechaber. Right? And take a look at the Derech Chaim that he adds further and says, he writes, because what are we referring to? That he's adding something by mistake. He's adding some type of prayer which is not appropriate for the day you're saying it. Right? So he says the prayer of Rosh Chodesh on a regular day. He says the prayer of Shabbos on a regular day. Right, or say on Chol HaMoed the prayer for the Musaf of Yom Tov. That's very common. The first day Chol HaMoed, sometimes with the Magzorim you can make a mistake that the
Especially so.
first day Yom Tov, second day was in Chutz La'aretz, you're doing, what is it, you get, it's very common.
Especially so. Especially
Right, so you make a mistake in mentioning things that are not appropriate for the time and the date that you're supposed to be saying it. So what are you supposed to do? Go ahead.
Why דרך החיים שהוסיף ועוד וכתב דהני מילי, these words, אם הזכיר, if he mentioned דבר שאינו שייך לאותו היום, it doesn't belong to this day.
Right, meaning he mentions something, or if today is a regular day, so he mentions Rosh Chodesh, which has nothing to do with today. He'll start, it's mentioning Rosh Chodesh today is like mentioning something about Sukkot today, something about Pesach today. It has no relevance to today whatsoever. It's completely strange and inappropriate for the prayer that you're saying. Okay, could go.
כגון שאומר זוכרנו וכולי וחוטפנו. It would be Rosh Hashanah, wouldn't it be?
Those are the sources of Beit Tshuva, right? Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Zakreinu, V'chasveinu, meaning, let's say he says something like that, right?
ואין זמן כתיבה,
Kasiva
אין
Hayom.
זמן כתיבה.
We say Kasveinu L'chaim, so the Kasiva...
Oh, אין כתיבה היום, right, it's
Right.
Yom Chol.
There's
It's not a search made true.
Right, meaning we're asking, and during the days between Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, we're asking that Hashem should write us in the book of life.
Right.
Because that's the time when the writings get kilu, so to speak, that the writings are taking place. But the books are closed now, where those books are put on the shelf, in the heavenly shelves upstairs in Shemayim, they're put on the heavenly shelves with the heavenly books, the heavenly pen, right? And those are up there, and there's no asking for us to be written in the books, right? It's like Lahavdil, you want to, now's a new year's, a physical year. Now you can file your tax return. If you want to do it from, last year, if you wanted to file this year's last year, you can't do that. I mean, previous years maybe you can, but it's not the time for filing. It's not the time for filing, right? Office is closed, right? So we're asking to Kasvenu is a mention of something which has no relevance to today whatsoever.
כמו שאמר יעלה ויבוא, he said יעלה ויבוא, עד לאחר יום ראש חודש הזה. And he mentioned also up until the Rosh Chodesh הזה.
Meaning he went further from saying, he started saying Yale Yovo, and he included Yom Rosh Chodesh Hazeh. Okay?
שהוא שקר מוחלט, this is a total lie. שהיום אינו ראש חודש. על כן, דינו כסח באמצע תפילה. This is considered as a speaking in the middle of the tefillah, this command. אבל אם לא אמר שקר, but if he didn't say שקר, כגון שאמר זוכרנו לחיים, which is not a שקר, ולא אמר, ולא אמר
Kasvenu.
כתבנו,
Meaning he just said Zachrenu L'chaim. You could ask the Kadosh Baruch Hu to remember you and us for life, but as long as you don't mention Kasvenu, to write us for life, right?
או הבדלה בכונן הדעת, שמזכיר למנשן מה שחנן לו שם ברח ללב ולהבין ולהבדיל, וזה שייך בכל שנה לתת תודה להשם נתברך שחלקנו לב and give our understanding heart, ומדע לדעת, to know,
Understanding, right? To know, understand, have comprehension for understanding. So those things that we're mentioning, those things are appropriate to ask anytime. Happens to be that on Motzi Shabbos, then we have to be Mavdi, we have to say Havdalah, so we put that in right there at Motzi Shabbos prayers. But if you mention it by mistake, right? So that's not a sheker mukhlat, it's not a lie to ask and mention these things.
או שמא יעלה ויבוא עד יום ראש חודש הזה, לא הבי שקר.
Right, because he says Yali Yovo and all those things, we're asking for Hashem to...
But he didn't say ראש חודש.
Right, because to mention Rosh Chodesh, that's sheker. But all the things we're asking before you mention those words, Rosh Chodesh, those are appropriate things to mention. No, nothing
What's
sheker about
sheker?
it.
Lie?
Falsehood.
False, okay.
Falsehood, right, lie.
רק מוסיף בתפילתו. אז if he add on to his תפילה, ואף שאסור להוסיף בשלוש ראשונות ואחרונות, even though it was forbidden to add on in the first three brachas or the last three brachas, mikol makom, nevertheless, the sach lo havi. The sach considers if he talked ad kan l'shono.
So he's been quoting here, that was the Derek HaChaim, if I'm not mistaken. So Mishna was quoting the Derek HaChaim, that you make a difference, a distinction between those things which are sheker and those things which are not sheker. A person added something which is unnecessary but not falsehood, then it's not so bad, right? It's just as simply as he spoke right in the middle of his bracha. Time will depend if it was time enough to finish the bracha or not. Right? But if it was sheker, then it is more serious.
Vayim b'chayei adam kalal kafei shigadav bein l'inyan sicha b'shogeg. Whether it's a
Accidental.
speaking but tefillah, or bein l'inyan, or it's a matter of Shishkin mentioned the Baal Shlokas Mano, not in its time. B'diavad, let's be about again.
After the fact.
After the fact. Im lo chazar l'tchilat habracha, if he didn't go back to the beginning of the bracha, k'van shesiyam bracha, he finished the bracha. Af she'osif ba davar shelo b'minyano, even though he added on something that isn't connected to the day, he cannot go back. B'chos ken im kvar hishlim, in all the most if he finished his tefillah. Hashem tamol nishmat.
Okay. So basically, the main point is that shouldn't make any speaking interruptions in the middle of your davening, even if it's going to be something which is relevant to prayer. If it was done, so it depends on what type of speech was done. If it was shogeg or mazid, so that's a surachi, and maybe we'll do the Berura tomorrow. And then it depends if it was part of prayers but an appropriate time to mention that, then you have to know, according to the Mishna, the Derek HaChaim, as to whether it was sheker involved or not. Sheker is more serious. If it's not sheker, it's still truth, but it's inappropriate, so that's less serious. You just have to return back to the makom, the beginning of that bracha. So, Mitzvah Shem, we'll continue tomorrow. Have a good